Hello everybody, I'm SJM. Welcome back to Prominence 2. Today I wanted to get started into a little Botania so I could get a little bit of quality of life things going, as I mentioned before, but we'll go over some of the basics here and just kind of get our foot in the door here, and then typically I'll show you what I'm going for, and then I won't be crafting everything today because it's going to take a while to generate all of the mana that I need to do what I want to do, but yeah, we can go over the basics here right away. So let's get back in here. So I've already done everything and set it all up, so we don't have to wait around for it, but I will go over all of the mechanics with you guys here. So we need a petal apothecary to get started. Well, I guess to get started in the last episode, we need the flower pouch, and you need to gather all of the flowers. I managed to get at least one of everything except a pink one. I don't really need the pink one right now, so I'm not too worried about it. We'll find it eventually at some point. And then I'm also out of the white flowers here, but that's because I made the tall version. Update in this 120 Botania, we now have the tall versions can go into the pouch, which is a great quality of life upgrade. I didn't even realize that when I was running around the world, and I was always typically avoid the tall flowers because they didn't go into the pouch before, but they do now, so you can grab those because they give you twice the amount of petals. Just note that if you are low on one of the types of flowers that you need to move forward, you can always bone meal one of the petals, right? So you'll take one of the flowers out, and we're going to craft up. Yeah, and the light gray I got the 4 of. Perfect. You can always grow, like you take the flower, you put it in your crafting grid, you'll get 2 petals per small flower, and you get 4 petals from the large flower. If you put one of the petals on the ground, it'll show up as the buried light gray petal, and then you just need to use a bone meal on it, and that will grow it up into a tall version. And then we can take the tall version. Oh, it went into the pouch. Forgot about that. They do go into the pouch when it's in on your hotbar. I never had that before, or that never happened for me in the last episode, so I'm not sure why, but we'll see. But yeah, then we get 4 off of that. Now, for the first flowers that we need to make are these pure daisies. The pure daisies are made in the petal apothecary, which is just 5 cobblestone and a petal. Why am I spelling it wrong? Oh, it's APO, that's why. 6, sorry. 3, 4, 5, 6. Make a petal apothecary. Make sure you put it down close to a water source because you'll always need to throw more water into it all of the time. And then for the pure daisy, the recipe is not that hard. You just need 4 white petals. And then in this crafting, it doesn't show here, but you do need to throw the seed in as well, which is weird that it's not showing there. Yeah, it doesn't show the seed in this craft here, but you do need a seed. And I found that these bewitchment seeds at the very least didn't work, because I found a few of these while breaking some of the grass around here. But the regular seeds, these work. Once you have the pure daisies, then you can put down wood and regular stone. Just note that it does have to be regular stone. You can't use cobblestone or smooth stone. You put these around here, and this will give you the next tier of crafting supplies that we need, which is living rock and living wood. Then we can use the living wood logs. It's not going to be best to look it up there, but we'll need a... And why does my brain always fail me? I'm thinking here. Mana pool, which is 5 living rock like this. Then we'll also need a mana spreader, which is 6 living wood, a copper ingot, which is a little bit different than the... I don't think this has been changed, but maybe it has been. And then a petal, and we'll need 2 of those eventually, but I'm not making one of those just yet. And we'll also need the wand of the forest, which is 3 twigs and 2 petals. The twigs are just 2 wood in a shape like this. So we'll need to get all of those things, and then we'll need to get a generating flower so that we can actually make mana. The best early game one, I guess there's 2 best early game ones, quote unquote, but the Endo Flame is the one I choose to use because we can automate it fairly good. The Endo Flame is 2 brown. Oh, I made gray, not brown. Haha. 2 brown, 1 light gray, and 1 red. And do that, and I'm gonna do the craft here. Obviously, I can only make 1 because I needed 2 brown, not 2 light gray. Just remember, don't use up your last petals. Always keep them so that you can duplicate them after, but we just throw 2, 1 of those, and then when we throw the seed in, we'll get an Endo Flame. And, oh, I forgot I needed the bucket. Clogged inventory here. The other mechanic that we have is if we click with an empty hand, it will add back the recipe automatically. I don't have anything in my offhand, so I'm not sure why it's not working, but you would have to add the seed again anyways to get it back, but that's not a huge deal. So once we have got our mana pool and our mana spreader, you want to put down, doesn't matter between these 2 which ones you put down, but you will have to use your Wand of the Forest. You shift right click on your mana spreader, and then you'd bind it to the mana pool, and you can tell because it will look at it, right? And then you know it's bound. It also has this highlight, see that purple highlight? It'll show that it's connected to the mana pool there as well. But you always want to put your mana spreader down before you're generating flowers, because you can see here that the flower is linked to the spreader because it's got that hitbox outline on it. And I was having trouble with the automation of this because I thought coal would work on there, so I went around and mined up a whole bunch of coal so that I could generate the mana while I was out and about and doing other things. Let's get rid of this knight before I get ambushed and killed. But the typical automation didn't seem to work because coal itself didn't seem to produce any redstone signal on top of the pressure plate. If you're familiar with Botania, you can probably skip all of this, but you throw an entity under the pressure plate, right? Oh, it didn't land right on top of it, but it creates a redstone signal, and we could use that in a mechanic to lock a hopper from dropping a whole bunch of the items. But Why is coal doing it now when it wasn't before? I'm losing my mind. I'm absolutely losing my mind. That wasn't working before. I swear on my life. But anyways, to do this, you set up an open crate. And then the open crate is not a hard recipe, but it is a little bit awkward because it needs living wood planks. And you need 7 of them, so you just, take 2 living wood and you get 8 planks, and that leaves you with 1 plank left over, but that is what it is. I tried all different things. I tried this lightwood pressure plate. I figured I was going to have to make a clock, so I had a redstone torch prepared for this episode so that we could do one of those, but apparently we don't, because this does work the way I want it to. But I had it initially down just a lever locking the hopper from dropping anything, and I load this up with a whole bunch of coal, right? And we can drop 4. It'll get these 4 going. It'll start generating mana into this mana. You can see it if you hold the wand of the forest in your hand, and there's crafts we can do with mana in the mana pool and things we can do with the mana, but that's for later. But this automation that I wanted to set up, see how this, without that signal there, it just all goes through all of this coal right away, which is not what we wanted. The normal automation is you put down a pressure plate. We only need 2. And I forgot, just any placement block is fine. So like this, so that the signal goes up to there. And then if we put our coal in, see, now the coal isn't producing the redstone signal, whereas it did. Swear, I'm losing my mind completely. But if we put living wood in there, see, that's not producing a redstone signal now either. And why is... I'm glad I got this on camera, because this is actually driving me bonkers. I got that. I've got a piece of redstone. See, why is it producing a redstone signal there? Yeah? Oh yeah, don't use your axe to try and break some entities on the ground. That's really a mystery there. But when we have it over here, see, now it's creating the redstone signal. But now it's not. Unbelievable. I'll have to go back to the lever because I don't want to try and figure this out, but that's... When I throw it, yes, it creates the redstone signal. The way it's supposed to work is the open crate will drop down a piece of coal. Then when one of these endo flames runs out of the burnable fuel, these generate mana by... Oh, I gotta step away from that. Generate fuel by burning consumables. Then it would, the pressure plate wouldn't be activated anymore. It would release another coal. Totally strange. I guess there's one other thing I can try, but I'll try messing with it some more off camera. I have no idea why it's working away from this setup, but it's not working when we have the open crate dropping onto it. anyways, that was the setup there, and then what I was going to do was just chunk load this area. Chunk loadings was weird to find with this map system. Like you can go into here, so it display and undisplay the chunk claims, but I had to go into the keybinds to find out that we hit the apostrophe button, and that will take us to this open parties and claims thing. So I don't even know how to force load mark any of the claims. I just, whatever chunk I was in, I hit this claim button, and now this chunk got claimed. And see, right clicking just gives me the waypoints options. Oh, if you click and drag, you can do that, and then, there it is. I didn't pay attention to this menu enough because I only use it for the waypoints. But yeah, you can go down here and then claim all those. Right click, drag, unclaim, because I don't need all of those claimed. But yeah, I had the chunk that all of this stuff was in claimed so that it would just operate while I was away. The system normally works perfectly. Obviously it's not right now. I don't know what update in 120 is making this act strangely, but even 119 I had this would work just fine, right? Each time a coal dropped onto there, it would create the redstone signal, block the hopper from passing any more coal into the open crate, because the open crate just spews things into the world, right? It doesn't have any filtering or anything like that on it. It's pretty simple. And then that would, like, instead of having a stack of coal sitting there, which would despawn after a certain amount of time, right? So frustrating. Why the open crate blocks the pressure plate from working. It's really strange. I'm not sure why that's not working properly. But anyways, we were going to do all that, get a bunch of mana stored up while I went out and did some more mining or building or whatever, right? Just for, you know, automation purposes. What we would do with a bunch of mana, or what would we do with Botania, as I mentioned before, there is the Sojourner's Staff. Sojourner's Sash. Reads 4 leather, this mana steel ingot, which is basically just taking a piece of iron, thalassium, sinicite, or iron, and throwing it into the, you just throw it into the mana pool. It uses up a little bit of mana, and you get a mana steel ingot back from it. The trickier thing are these runes. The runes are made on the runic altar, which is, and then you need some more ingredients. This mana powder is either dye, sugar, gunpowder. There's some different things you do. You just throw it into the mana pool and you get the mana powder out of it. But we would need to make one of these runes of earth, one of these runes of air, and the runic altar itself isn't too bad. You need a mana diamond or a mana pearl. And that's made obviously by throwing a diamond or an ender pearl into the mana pool, and then you get this runic altar. Then you have to feed the runic altar with more mana, which needs another mana spreader. So if you make another mana spreader, I would put it down right there, then I would put my altar right there, and then we'd be able to do the rune crafting. And then just making sure that the second mana spreader is touching or connected to the runic altar with the wand of the forest. And you just craft your runes that way. You get to the Sojourner Staff. Just note that to use the Sojourner Stash, we would need a ring of mana. Band of mana, I guess. This isn't too hard. You just need 4 more mana steel and a mana tablet, which requires another mana diamond or a mana pearl. Obviously, we'd probably want to use pearls because they're a little bit easier to get than diamonds, but for that we'd have to fight Endermen. Not such a big deal if you know how to fight them properly. It's just getting them to spawn being the painful part of that process. But then once you have one of these bands of mana, you can throw it into your mana pool. Just note that by default, the mana pool is set to, if you see just below where the mana is, it's set to take from a mana tablet, or a band of mana will work as well, and put it into the pool. But if you shift right click on it, you can switch it to go from the pool to the mana tablet, and then that way you can fill up a ring with some mana, and that will activate the Sojourner Staff. The great things about the Sojourner Staff sash it doesn't say it here, but if you have Lexica Botania, which is the book from the mod, you can find them in the world, but you can also create it just with a sapling. Any sapling in a book will get you the Lexica, but the sash gives you step up, which means I'd be able to go up 1 block heights without having to jump. It also gives us a little bit of feather falling. It's like a feather falling half or something. It's not super powerful. Increases our movement speed, which is super handy, and as well gives us a double height jump, so I'd be able to jump onto that leaf without like I'd be able to jump up 2 blocks. So it's a super handy item, especially for the exploration, which is kind of what I wanted to do right now. And let's make sure that this keeps going. Oh, I've got 4 now. Keep forgetting about that. I have to set up my lever again because I would just go over there and click it and drop the items onto the ground one at a time to have a little bit of automation. Still really frustrates me that that doesn't work the way I want it to. And then, yeah, the other thing that I would get would be I'd have to make a fishing pole to get this guy, but the Ring of Core Data. This guy here. We just need a puffer fish, and obviously we'd get that. Could possibly find it while swimming around, but it's not very likely. Heart of the Sea, which you just have to find a buried treasure to get one of those. That's not really hard. And another one of these runes, but the Ring of Core Data is really great because it gives you like water breathing and extra movement speed underwater. So that, you know, the sash covers our land travel. Core Data covers doing anything underground, especially because in this map we found that underwater city. I think this is the underwater city, right? This was all underwater, if I recall correctly. But there's a whole bunch of stuff to discover under there, as well as if you wanted to get to shipwrecks a little deeper, or those abandoned underwater temples that usually have a ton of underwater zombies. What are they called? Drowned. Over there. Yeah, those are the kinds of things. Those are the 2 things from Botania I want, because there's a fair amount of exploration I want to do. I don't want to go blindly mining for all of my diamonds. Usually you can find a good amount of diamonds to get started into some of the fancier things just with exploration, and it's a lot more fun for me as well. And then the next thing I was looking at getting into is finding some weapons. So if we look at swords, we can see that the main swords and armor, obviously, because I still don't have any armor, the MC Dungeons weapons, and there's MC Dungeons armors as well, are the 2 mods to start fishing through to start going at it. But there's a ton of the weapons in here which have different attack ranges, attack damages, and attack speeds. So I think, just doing some simple math, multiplying the attack damage by the attack speed will give you a DPS number, because the higher the attack speed, the more times you attack. So you just to give yourself a rough idea of which weapons you want, but maybe attack range matters to you as well, which I think the longest attack range I found was the Iron Halberd, which was 4, but it only has a 1.2 attack speed, so it attacks slow, but you can attack things that are far away and keep them away from you. So I don't find a lot of things with better durability per se, although the ones that we find seem to be really good, right? This Ember Blade has 2780 total durability on it. And it's a pretty good weapon, so I think, if we got into exploration, finding weapons and armor is going to be better than trying to make it, but you got to start somewhere, and I wouldn't want to go out exploring without doing that. Just note that when you craft an item, it will get a prefix. So this axe, when I crafted it up, it came out as a common stone axe. It actually gave me minus 20% dig speed, minus 10% speed, and minus reach, which is really, like, the minus reach is really annoying. This one, when I made this pickaxe, it came out as uncommon, which just gave me a penalty to dig speed and speed. And this one came out as uncommon, which obviously, gives us the negative reach, which is really annoying when you're down in a cave or something. Like, even though I can technically touch the block from this far away, like with an empty hand I can mine it from there, but with the negative reach on there, I've got to come 2 blocks closer, which is super annoying on these. But if you really want to, you can re-roll the prefix on it. If you have an anvil, you'd have to put a piece of stone in there as well as an amethyst. So you'd probably want to find a geode before you went and tried re-rolling a lot of stuff, which I think is another reason why I want to find my items, because, re-rolling this Ember Blade, I don't even know what kind of material it's created out of, because you can't craft it to re-roll the prefix on it. So just a couple of things to go over for the next episode, as I'll be looking into that a little bit more, maybe even just get the 2 Botania items, because obviously I can't idle around here. I'm gonna have to stand here and manually do this stuff. So just block the hopper that way. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Usually I leave it like that, go away, do something for a minute or 2, and then come back, because it goes through those pretty quickly. Could also do this in block form, and that would last a lot longer. And I wonder if the blocks... Let's try the blocks. Never tried the blocks with that setup. Need one more, obviously. Guess that's one more thing I could try before I end this episode, because we're getting a little bit long here now for such simple stuff. This. This. See? Anything dropped out of this open crate does not trigger. This is a Botania change, I think. And I think I just may have thought of the solution for it. All right, let's do that. Let's put this open crate 2 blocks above. I still need that there. We'll have to get the redstone signal up 1 more block, which is easily done like that. Oh wait, now it's off. I'll need to get this over 1 more, I guess. 1 more piece of redstone, which I think I have. Yeah, just 1 more left. So I made that stupid redstone torch. Yeah. So no. It seems a pressure plate with an open crate above it will never have... I thought it was because it was right next to it. More I'll have to find a solution for it, but it's super frustrating that that's a thing that they incorporated because they didn't like us having all the free mana in the world. Just being grumbly about it at this point. Anyways, that's it for this episode. Next episode we'll get into some adventuring, getting around there. I'll go over what I found for digging through the mods for weapons and armor, because I'm gonna get something before I go out there, but hopefully it's something cheap because I don't have a lot of iron just yet. The ore doubling in this pack is it's pretty locked down. The best thing is this forge hammer, which gives you 25% extra for basically nothing. Like, you just have to make this hammer, and yeah, for the investment, this is the best one, I think. This centrifuge, this is not giving us this is not increasing what we get at all. This centrifuge, obviously, oh wait, that's just the furnace. So pulverizing gives us 33% return, right? Put in 2, get out 3. Or no, that's 50% extra, right? Crushing gives us nothing extra. This is just blasting. And the other way is if you can get Silk Touch, then we can use Ad Astra. This is way too much. And it's not even in here. But if you get one of these, where have I put it away now? One of these hammers, and you craft it with the raw ore, then that will actually straight up double it. And it doesn't work with these Tech Reborn ones, but it does work with the vanilla ones. Well, it did in Jangro's video, which he did a couple of months ago, so maybe that's tied to an old version too. Not too sure on that, but that was the best, cheapest way, is if you can get Silk Touch, which obviously would require an enchanting setup. Enough rambling. I appreciate you all for checking out the episode, and we will see you in the next one.